Let's get to Ukraine.
President.
Now, two things are very interesting here. The New York Times released an article where the United States believes that Ukrainians were behind an assassination in Russia. This is a sussy little baka thing to put out there. Now, of course, obviously, like, it's not surprising, right? But I don't know why they would, I don't know why the American State Department would ever allow this information to be out there. Anytime the New York Times writes something that the State Department is giving them, that's deliberate. They want you to know. They want you to hear it. It's not usually a leak. American officials said they were not aware of the plan ahead of time for the attack that killed Daria Dugina and that they had admonished Ukraine over it. Maybe Ukraine wants Russia to know. Man, Ukraine is not an actor in this. Please stop. Everything that Ukraine does, it does at the behest of the U.S., okay? Like, they have legitimate reasons and legitimate interest in emancipation, and that's it. I am not of the mindset that, like, Ukrainians took matters into their own hands and that the American government straight up was like, nah, you shouldn't do this. And then they did it anyway. Like, that's surprising to me. Come on, man. The Ukrainians have agency. They're literally fighting to defend their homeland. What the f do you mean? No, I agree. That's what I said. That is the extent of it, though. And the only way that they're capable of doing that is with, and I think everyone recognizes and understands and appreciates this, but is NATO weapons. I didn't say they don't have agency. Not only did I not say that, but I also said they have a legitimate and earnest interest in emancipation. Some of you may not understand that word, emancipation, freedom, okay? They want freedom, and that's understandable, okay? That is the number one thing here that they have. But beyond that, a little sussy that they even came out and Ukraine this way. I mean, this is their partner. I am surprised. What do you think of the claim that it's largely NATO forces fighting and operating NATO weapons on behalf of Ukraine? No, I don't. I think it's Ukrainians that are trained by NATO and trained by the CIA, but it's still Ukrainians that are fighting. It is surprising, though, that the United States is being a fake friend. I'll say it. I think the United States is being a fake friend to Ukraine here. Just calling them out. The timing of it is rather suspicious, right as the OPEC Plus conversations are happening. Perhaps one of the reasons why they're doing that is because they want to head there with they want to make sure that those conversations in Vienna are happening with a more positive light so that they're not dagger-dicking the American economy. But it's sussy, okay? It's sussy as This is the info that they're, covering. What's sussy is the OPEC Plus talks are happening after the pipeline was blown up too. I mean, yeah, that's not sussy. That's deliberate, I think. United States intelligence agencies believe that parts of the Ukrainian government authorized the car bomb attack near Moscow in August that killed Daria Dugina, the daughter of a prominent Russian nationalist, an element of a covert campaign that the U.S. officials fear could widen the conflict. The United States took no part in the attack, either by providing intelligence or other assistance, officials said. American officials also said that they were not aware of the operation ahead of time and would have opposed the killing had they been consulted. Afterwards, American officials admonished Ukrainian officials over the assassination. They said, the closely held assessment of Ukrainian complicity, which has not been previously reported, was shared within the U.S. government last week. Ukraine denied involvement in the killing immediately after the attack. I wonder why they did that. And senior officials repeated those denials when asked about the American intelligence assessment. OPEC is just pissed about the G7 Russian oil price cap via their own buyers cartel. Don't do that, but do some more of that. I mean, I thought Saudi Arabia was like pissed off about America using its strategic reserves to at least have some relative control over the oil barrel pricing. So they want to decrease supply again and stress the United States and Western nations in general, while also helping their trade partners inside of their cartel, i.e. Russia, whose main whose main production that is funding its war coffers is energy. Okay? That professor is really wild, not really a reliable source. Did you just say Jeffrey Sachs is not a reliable source on matters involving Russia? Bro, who's reliable then? Vladimir Putin himself? It's like he's literally he is the guy. What? He's one of the guys. Okay? Like, he has his hands. He has let's say he has personal involvement in the matter. In the West, he is one of the guys. Like, you look at Russia and you look at how f***ed up Russia is, he's one of the dudes. Okay? Anyway, But going back to this, there's one other thing that I was going to... He's making an accusation with little to no evidence. Wait, what? No, dude, no. What do you mean he's making an accusation with little to no evidence? He's saying on mainstream media what a lot of people reasonably suspect, which is that there are parties that have more to gain than Russia in this bombing of the Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 pipelines, and you're losing your mind over it. What he's saying is not that unique of a take. The only problem is you have no evidence either, but you have convictions that it was definitely not America and it was definitely Russia, because there is a slant within the media that claims that it definitely was Russia, and that's it. They have no evidence either. So when there is no evidence whatsoever, why did you decide? When there is no evidence whatsoever, why did you decide that it was one side and not the other?
Destruction of the Nord Stream pipeline, which I would bet was a U.S. action, perhaps U.S. and Poland. This is
Jeff, we got to stop there. That's quite a statement as well. Why do you feel that was a U.S. action? What evidence do you have of that?
Bro, what is bro wearing? What is he wearing right now? I'm sorry. What? Dude, business channels are so crazy. They just straight up will be like, yeah, no, I want to look like a cartoon villain. Motherfucker looks like Penguin. He's trying to find who Batman is. Why are you trying to look like the Monopoly Man? What the is this, bro? What is happening right now? He's like, you have no evidence that Bruce Wayne is Batman, but I will investigate. That's crazy.
Well, first of all, there's direct radar evidence that U.S. helicopters, military helicopters that are normally based in Gdansk, were circling over this area. We also had the threats from the United States earlier in this year that one way or another, we are going to end Nord Stream. We also have a remarkable statement by Secretary Blinken.
It's like stress testing manufacturing consent. Like, they're like, how far can we get away with it? Like, let's say, how far can we go with this? Which I think is pretty funny. It's like, they're like, let's openly state that we have a genuine interest in stopping these pipelines. Let's say that we will stop them by any means necessary. Let's say that, like, and then when it happens, when it ultimately does happen, let's see if we can blame Russia. And by the way, for the record, Russia is crazy. Vladimir Putin is crazy. Okay. So maybe it is him. Maybe he did it. I'm not ruling that out. And I want you guys to understand, I'm not ruling that out personally, okay? But it seems nuts, okay? And with the absence of evidence at this very moment, I'm just looking at who has more to gain.
Blinken last Friday in a press conference, he says, this is also a tremendous opportunity. It's a strange way to talk.
People say Russia has more to gain and I've yet to hear one clear reason. Okay. And if you motherfuckers are going up and being like, Jeffrey Sachs has bad takes. Sure, man. He does. I know. I know. Okay. I don't care, because he's not talking about the other now. He's talking about directly what Colombia pays him to talk about, directly what he has had personal experience with. He's talking about Russia. Okay. So stop. And this is 100%, 1000% something that neoliberals love doing regularly. They're like, well, look at all these bad takes that he had. Okay. Yeah. He had bad takes. He had wrong takes. He's just outright wrong on some okay? But this is his very specific, very narrow field of expertise, okay? I'm sick and tired of motherfuckers love going to Reddit to be like, ooh, let's see some opposition research over here by Jeffrey Sachs. Ooh, like immediately being like, these are all of his bad takes. Yeah, I know. You can try to elevate how bad it is, okay? You'd be like, he denies the Uyghur genocide. He believes in the lab leak conspiracies. Sure, fine. Okay, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. Your assessment is correct on that. But that's not what we're talking about right now, okay? I don't know why the you immediately have to do this. For everyone that is not a part of the foreign policy apparatus that is feeding you the exact same takes that you hear, okay? Like, John Bolton will come out and be like, yeah, I think it was Russia that did this to himself. And you guys are like, see, John Bolton said it. Like, you never do this. Do you ever realize that you do this all the time? You do this thing that you do all the time. You do it for Noam Chomsky. You do it for Jeffrey Sachs. You do it for Mersheimer. Anyone and everyone that has a different perspective than what the common consensus is in liberal mainstream media about American State Department revelations. Somehow all of those guys have bad takes, and those are the only thing we should be focusing on and not what they're saying right now. Okay? No one is perfect. Everyone has bad takes. Do you not find that to be a little strange that you always do this? Like you're a little mouthpiece for the media yourself? Like, what are you, working for the State Department? Yes, because when you have become a crazy guy shouting conspiracies, I'm going to pause on believing his latest theory. It's not a take, it's a wild conspiracy. I'm sorry, I just don't agree with you. I still maintain that Russia might have done this to itself, okay? I agree. Russia might have done this to itself. They're crazy, okay? But it's wild that you're like, no, that's a conspiracy. You. That's crazy to me. That is nuts. In the absence of like actual solid detail, solid intel, you're just running on with what CNN is saying. And that blows my mind. Especially in a circumstance where America literally could have, I feel like Brandon could have came out and been like, we're going to blow that up, Jack, a week before it blew up. And then you'd be like, nah, Russia did it. Like, you can't on the one side repeat what you're hearing from MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, and American media in general, which is also a conspiracy technically, okay? And one, in my opinion, that doesn't have as much credibility because there is no like, there's at least information on the one side being like, no, we are going to stop these pipelines by any means necessary, okay? And one side has the most to gain out of this. And when I say U.S., remember, I'm not just talking about the United States of America. I'm talking about all the NATO forces. It could be the UK, okay? There are plenty of actors involved, but they are all still under the broad umbrella. If this is a proxy war between the United States and Russia, that's the umbrella I'm talking about. Capitalist forces of Western neoliberal hegemony, okay?
If you're worried about the piracy on international infrastructure of vital significance. So I know this runs counter to our narrative. It runs, you're not allowed to say these things in the West, but the fact of the matter is, all over the world, when I talk to people, they think...
Like, his follow-up on this is kind of weak, too. He's like, oh, I talk to people and they think Russia did it, or they think America did it, too, secretly. Like, that's not a really good way to cover this. Just talk about who has the most to gain, like he did, and talk about, like, what America has said thus far leading up to this event, which he did. But there's no reason to just, like, also turn around and be like, well, you know, my friends also believe this. Okay, yeah, sure.
It is. I'm just to tell you, and by the way, even reporters on our papers that are involved tell me privately, yeah, well, of course, but it doesn't show up in our...
It is bananas to me, though, that, like, we just immediately run with the, it's definitely Russia, and everything else, it's definitely Russia, and anyone else that says anything else, okay, is 1,000,000% spreading conspiracy theories on behalf of the Russian government. Like, I'm sorry, that's bananas, bro. And it is wild that, like, no one wants to be skeptical over the mainstream narrative. You're just, like, so comfy in this. The funniest part is if the United States came out tomorrow and said we did it, all the people who said, oh, it was Russia, would probably turn around and be like, yeah, it was good that they did it, actually. Like, there was literally a dude who was like already saying, thank you, United States, for doing this. This was wonderful. Like the day of. That is to say, over the past week, 14 episodes in our data set shared content about the explosion that was conspiratorial in nature. Of seven wholly endorsed the idea that the United States is most likely the culprit. Only 4 episodes sought to refute that claim. Wait, what? Brookings Institute. They say it's conspiratorial to bring... I mean, unless there's a lone dolphin theory, some type of conspiracy blew up the pipeline. That is not in question. The question is who done it. I don't understand. The theory that Russia did it is literally a false flag conspiracy theory, and it might be true. What is fucking blowing my mind is that the United States doing it is completely a conspiracy theory. No shot that happened. Russia doing it, on the other hand, not a conspiracy theory, probably the real reason. That blows my mind. That smells really weird, okay? Come the on, man. Even when we don't know. Even when we don't know. I'm not saying I'm ruling out that it wasn't Russia. But in the absence of conclusive evidence, what we can only look at is who has the most to gain and also what either party has said. Just like on the pro-Russia or on the like this is Russian involvement in Russia's doing docket, you have this information, right? You have the information that, well, Russia was already lowering the amount of gas that they were sending through the Nord Stream pipelines, right? 2 wasn't working. 1 was already, 1 was also like lowering the amount that people were using. Now, part of the reason why they were lowering the amount, on the other hand, was because, America was increasing stress and pressure on European partners to not use those pipelines. Okay? So you have that docket. You have that bullet point on the maybe Russia did it side. On the maybe America did it side, you have America's regular statements about Nord Stream 1 and 2 being a geopolitical disaster for them and for Europe maintaining its partnership with Russia. You have a pipeline that has the capability of sending gas that is not currently being used, but could very well be used in a colder winter in an effort to ease the stress that European countries are not going to be able to take on when they're being hit by inflation and energy prices are becoming a crisis. Okay? Russia also benefits by making gas prices skyrocket in the immediate aftermath of bombing and sending a threat that Europe will freeze. No, Russia has been saying that. They've been saying that because that's their singular, that's the thing. That's what they have. That's the only thing they have. That is what is. Europe can't take care of themselves, understood? Well, yeah, I mean, they can. What are they going to do? Materialize natural gas? What do you want? Yeah, they can't. But Russia's saying, we're going to cut off your f***ing gas, okay, is a threat only because they want, that's leverage. When they have a delivery mechanism, that's just leverage for them. They want to make demands and have European partners meet said demands. If their delivery mechanism is blown up, then it's no longer a threat. Now they have no say in the matter. And there's obviously still other ways of delivering it, but it doesn't matter. This is their Why would they blow up their own leverage? Now, when I say that, people turn around and say, well, that's because Putin is crazy. You're right. He is crazy. He invaded Ukraine. He got us pushed in especially the Western Front. Okay? But he was crazy is not the best argument in this circumstance. Even if it's valid, it's not necessarily the best argument in this circumstance when there's additional evidence you can rely on. That's what you jump to. That's what you jump to when you have nothing else. Okay? It shows capability to strike other pipes. Brother, that's bananas. Yeah, that's on the US did it column. Now, one thing that I have heard, and I don't know if this is actually the case or not, but one thing that I have heard is that Nord Stream 2 is actually repairable. And I said this the first day when we were getting new information, okay? If Nord Stream 2 is repairable, then that is a major point on the Russia might have done this to itself column, okay? Because they have every interest in using Nord Stream 2. They didn't build it for no reason, okay? It's already filled with seawater. Okay, listen. If it's fixable, then it doesn't matter. It really isn't repairable. Seawater will damage it too severely. All I'm stating is if it's actually fixable, then that is absolutely that actually does unironically not conclusively prove it, but that's definitely workable intelligence. It is repairable if they can get it done within half a year. It's designed to withstand against corrosion by seawater for the duration of the time. What do we got? Underwater engineers in here? What's happening? Why do you guys know all this? As a pipeline expert, as of literally 30 seconds ago, the pipeline looks pretty to me. Russia are the ones that are saying that it is possible to repair it. Yeah, but also they're also saying that authorities aren't letting anyone go near the pipelines. It should be technically possible to repair undersea ruptures to the Nord Stream pipelines, Russia's Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak said. There have never been such incidents. Of course, there are technical possibilities to restore the infrastructure. It takes time to appropriate funds. I am sure that appropriate possibilities will be found. No, this in and of itself is not proof. I'm talking like if the Nord Stream 2 pipeline is like still in operation, okay? It's not inoperable specifically because they're saying that they can repair it, which, who knows if they actually are capable of doing it. But if they are actually capable of doing it, it's still a big L that they're posing to themselves for no reason. Fact, this is a news story that HasanAbi was likely to cover. Fact, HasanAbi gets viewers from covering the news. Fact, HasanAbi personally stands to gain from the pipeline blowing up. I'm not saying that HasanAbi personally blew up the pipeline, but follow the money, sheeple. Why won't they just make a Nord Stream 3? Okay. They won't make a Nord Stream 3 because it's multiple billions of dollars. It's the same reason why Russia most likely wouldn't blow up its own pipeline. Repairing it is incredibly costly and literally eliminates their delivery mechanism during the dead of the winter. If Nord's so good, why no Nord 3? It will take months. Obviously, it will take years and years and years to like literally build it, build another one. It'll take a decade at least. But if we're talking about just like repairing it even, it's going to take half a year. Why would they, in the most opportune time, blow up their pipeline? It's actually not repairable unless they get to it in under 3 weeks. That other chatter is wrong. I'm an engineer. And after 3 weeks, okay, you're around. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't believe this anymore. Others, including the U.S. President Joe Biden, have said Moscow was to blame as part of its efforts to manipulate energy supplies to Europe. It was a deliberate act of sabotage. And now the Russians are pumping out disinformation and lies. Separately on Sunday, Danish authorities said the Nord Stream 1 pipeline has stopped leaking. A day after officials said the leak on Nord Stream 2 had also stopped. Once the leaking ends, detailed surveys of the damage can be carried out. 2 leaks are in Sweden's exclusive economic zone, and 2 are in Denmark's economic zone. Gazprom. Pressure is stabilized in the damaged gas pipelines of the Nord Stream system. The pressure in String A and Nord Stream 2 has gas pipeline. Both strings of Nord Stream 1 gas pipeline has become stable after the occurrence of the ruptures, and the gas leaks have stopped. Gazprom is working to decrease the pressure in String B of the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline. For that purpose, the company is pumping natural gas out of the pipe. This will make it possible to safely inspect String B for integrity, as well as to reduce potential environmental risks in the events of a possible gas leak. If a decision is made to start supplies via String B of Nord Stream 2, natural gas will be fed into the pipeline after the system is checked for the integrity and the possibility of supplies is confirmed by the supervisory authorities. Another day, another twist in the Nord Stream saga. As the sabotage spared line B of Nord Stream 2, Gazprom now says it might send gas to DEU via that line, as other 3, NS1A and B and NS2A, are compromised. So either DEU opens Nord Stream 2 or zero Russian gas. What a coincidence. That is actually suspicious. That, like I said, is a major, I think, piece of information that has the potential of Russian sabotage. This part of it, and I said this literally day one. I said this in the day that this information came out. If Nord Stream 2 is somehow operable, then this actually is very suspicious. It's still ridiculous for them to blow up their pipeline, but they're crazy. And in that circumstance, there is at least additional evidence that there is something to gain from this, which is, starting to use Nord Stream 2. Just saying they're crazy is not enough. But if you say they're crazy enough to blow up their own pipelines and also force Europe's hand to use Nord Stream 2, well, then all of a sudden, it's not as crazy. Okay? Why would they blow up one pipe to use another? Because they want to use Nord Stream 2, which ultimately has more capacity. And they could technically, fix one as well, inevitably, and fix the second line on Nord Stream 2 and have everything in operation eventually. Chat believes all other anti-NATO information that comes out except for Russian news. These motherfucking Russians without reason is hilarious. Yeah, I mean, they've been conditioned, okay? They have been conditioned into feeling this way. It is impossible when every avenue, every outlet you trust to a certain degree is telling you one thing. Good luck. Good luck having good luck being able to cut through all that noise in any meaningful capacity. MBS leading the charge to cut oil production a month from the midterm should be viewed as a deliberate political act. I mean, it is. The Saudis want Trump to be president so they get total impunity for the human rights abuse. Yeah, like Biden was definitely so. Come on, Tommy. It's not like Biden was, genuinely causing trouble for Saudi Arabia. He already personally was like, you're the king. You're the GOAT. Yeah. Honestly, Donald Trump is a bigger ally to Saudi Arabia than Biden is. And that's pretty much it. But don't act like Biden is actually doing anything. I still don't get why the Russians would blow it up anyway. Like, what benefit would they give them? They have wanted to use Nord Stream 2, which America was openly stopping. They have wanted to use Nord Stream 2, which America was openly trying to get European partners to never use. Why not just blow up Nord Stream 1 then? I mean, it's a little sussy that they didn't blow up both of the lines on Nord Stream 2 and one of them still works. I get the suspicion with Nord Stream 2 being used instead of Nord Stream 1, but Blinken saying it was a tremendous opportunity for us keeps making me doubt any Russian did it scenarios. I know there is still a lot of information or at least evidence on the American side. But at least there is some workable not intelligence, but there is a little bit of more. I think there's more, not evidence necessarily, but there's more that Russia could gain from this now that we know of. One possible cause very much within Occam's razor is not being considered here. That the thing just broke. No, that did not happen. That's insane. No. They determined, no, you're wrong about that. They already determined that there was a seismic activity that was similar to a explosion. Like there is evidence on there being an explosion. We know that already. I have trouble believing that the U.S. would bomb key infrastructure allies rely on and do it badly, such that one pipeline was repairable. Yeah, that's pretty much the only fact that we have in this entire thing.